I'm here in Cancun at the hotel where a lot of the Indigenous Caucus delegation is staying, and with me is Joseph Ole Simel from the MaasaI organization MPIDO in Kenya. And Joseph, can you just give us sort of a state of play? What happened today? There were a few countries that were really playing prominent roles in the red debate, reducing emissions from deforestation, and the role of indigenous rights in protecting forests. And Bolivia, the Philippines, Saudi Arabia, Brazil. Can you break it down for us?
Well, it's really difficult for me to break down, but I'm just saying this meeting in Cancun, there is a lot of political and economic interest at stake. And of course, parties express different opinion and took different position. I think the strongest that the indigenous
what was the Bolivia
people,
position, first of all, as you understood?
Before I say the Bolivia position, I say the Saudi Arabian position first.
Okay.
Saudi Arabia made some intervention in which they are not happy with the United Nations Declaration on the Right of Indigenous Peoples, and they are not comfortable with prior informed consent, and it got some support from some governments. Bolivia seemed to be also strong in supporting indigenous people's language, but I think it's playing its own politics, and I think the observation that we can make is seriously is that probably really inability to separate state politics in Bolivia and indigenous people politics. We generally think along the way we have to separate because we are very diverse, we come from different regions, we are coming with different problems and challenges, we have some expectations, and as a caucus, we've not allowed any government to take a position, for example, whether to block this position or that, without consulting and approval from indigenous peoples. Yeah.
So what we have right now is the outstanding issue in red here in Cancun is about protecting indigenous people's rights, or what they call the social safeguards. What has to happen for the Indigenous Caucus to be satisfied with the outcome here?
You know, we are not Cancun as a first participation meeting with the UNFCCC. We developed the language. We developed minimum standard in Bangkok. Okay, that was much before the COP15, and those are the guiding principles as far as which guide the caucus. And until those minimum standards are taken into account, then indigenous people cannot endorse any outcome. So ours is very clear, and the text that was taken to Chanchin could contain the language we want, and we don't in any way entertain any sort of weakening of that language. So as a caucus, as indigenous peoples, we are aware of what we want. We want strong language. We want the United Nations Declaration on the Right of Indigenous Peoples to be clear in the text. We want prior informed consent. If you bring the two together, then what we are talking about effective participation of indigenous peoples to all these, climate change interventions, programs, design, activity, plan, numbers, and so on. The second one, it gives a very strong recognition of traditional knowledge of indigenous peoples. We are aware that indigenous people have developed over the years enough traditional knowledge to conserve the forest, and we are the best the best managers of the forest. You know, we understand better than anybody else the ecosystem. You know, the forest is not just about carbon and carbon trading. To us, it's much more. You know? To us, we look at the forest from social, cultural, spiritual, medicinal. There's so many ways we are looking at the forest, in which many people are unable to look from that dimension. So that's why the language that we have developed is a language that it must be maintained. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. There you have it, the 3 guiding principles for the Indigenous Caucus in the UN climate talks. A lot still in play. The rights of indigenous peoples being the big outstanding issue here in Cancun. So keep in touch and check back with us. You'll see how this plays out. Thanks.